Grandma, don't eat that! What is wrong with you? In fair way, Uncle sprayed insect killer.
Victor, is it dangerous?
Yes, Grandma, please.
Grandma, don't eat that. Victor's voice exploded through the dining room, so loud it sounded like another person had spoken. Everyone froze. A spoon slipped from someone's hand and hit the tiled floor with a sharp cling. A chair creaked. Then, silence. Mama Rose was already bending down under the table. Her old knees groaned softly as she reached for a small piece of snack that had fallen near her slippers. Her fingers were inches away. Victor's eyes were wide, his chest rising fast like he had been running. It fell after Uncle sprayed the insect killer, Grandma. Please. Mama Rose's hand stopped in the air. The whole family stared at Victor like they had never seen him before. Someone laughed nervously, like it was a joke, but the laugh died quickly when Victor didn't smile back. Victor wasn't joking. His face looked different, tight, serious, almost scared. Wait, insect killer? Someone whispered. A man at the other end of the table frowned, trying to remember. Then another voice, shaky now, said, "Didn't we spray the living room earlier today?" Victor nodded fast. Yes, near the chairs, near this table too. Mama Rose slowly pulled her hand back, like the air under the table had suddenly turned dangerous. For 1 second nobody moved, then panic burst open like a broken bottle. "Ah, Mama, stand up. God forbid, bring water." Who sprayed? When? How close? Plates were pushed away. People stood too quickly, bumping into each other. Someone pulled Mama Rose's chair backward. Another person dragged the table a little, making it scrape loudly against the floor. Mama Rose was breathing hard, her eyes confused. She looked at Victor. "Victor, what did you say?" Victor swallowed. His throat looked dry. "I said, don't eat it." One auntie pointed under the table with trembling fingers. "So that thing has poison." "It's not food poison," Victor said quickly. "It's chemical, the spray. It kills insects. It can harm people too." A moment later, someone was already calling a doctor. Victor stood there in the middle of the noise, but somehow everything felt far away, because he could still see it clearly in his mind. The small snack on the floor, Mama Rose reaching, the invisible danger on the tiles, and the truth that made his heart pound the hardest was this. Nobody else noticed. Nobody else remembered. Only him. The phone call connected. "Hello, doctor? Please, it's an emergency. Our mother almost ate something from the floor. We sprayed insect killer earlier. Please, what should we do?" Victor watched Mama Rose's face. Her warm eyes that usually smiled at him were now wide and unsure. Then she whispered, almost like a child, "Was I really about to eat it?" Victor nodded once, and at that moment the room felt like it was spinning, because this wasn't just about a snack, it was about how close she had come, how close they all had come, without even knowing. The doctor's voice came through the phone, fast and serious. "Do not allow her to eat anything from that area. Wash her hands. If she touched it, rinse her mouth. Bring her in immediately for checks." The family's fear jumped higher. People began moving like a storm. Too many hands, too many voices, too many directions. But Victor's eyes stayed locked on the floor under the table, and on the harmless-looking piece of snack, on the danger nobody saw. And as they rushed around Mama Rose, one thought hit Victor like cold water. What if he had stayed quiet? Like always. The question squeezed his chest, and just as someone grabbed the car keys and the front door swung open, Victor noticed something else, something worse. Near the wall, beside the corner where the insect spray had been kept earlier, the can was lying sideways, and the cap looked loose. Victor took one step toward it. Then two, because he suddenly remembered something he hadn't said yet. Something that could change everything. He opened his mouth to speak, and at the same time, Mama Rose swayed on her feet. Her eyes rolled slightly. Someone screamed, "Mama Rose!" Victor's stomach dropped. Was it already too late? Earlier that day, and Victor had been sitting alone on the small balcony of their family house, watching the street like he always did. The house wasn't poor, but it wasn't fancy either. It was a regular Nigerian family home, busy, loud, full of people who came and went like they owned the place. Victor liked quiet places. He liked corners. He liked listening more than talking. People called him names sometimes, not even trying to be kind. "Victor is too dull. That boy is always looking like he's counting something. Why is he always quiet like that? Is he angry? Maybe he's proud." But Victor wasn't proud. And he wasn't angry. Victor just noticed things. He noticed the way a person's face changed when they lied. He noticed when someone said, "I'm fine," but their fingers were shaking. He noticed tiny patterns. Like how the generator always coughed twice before it finally started. Victor's brain worked like a camera that never stopped recording. Even when nobody cared, the only person who truly treated him softly was Mama Rose. She wasn't
Victor,
perfect,
don't
but she was
worry, you are
warm.
a good
She
boy.
called him my careful
Thank you,
boy,
Mama.
and always put extra food on his plate even when everyone else acted like Victor didn't exist. That afternoon, Mama Rose had been seated near the window, sorting dry beans slowly, one handful at a time. Victor had walked past her quietly. She smiled at him. "Victor, come and sit small." He sat. She looked at him the way grandmothers do, like they see your heart more than your mouth. "You don't talk too much," she said gently. Victor gave a small shrug. Mama Rose chuckled. "It's okay. Some people talk too much and say nothing. But you look like someone who hears plenty." Victor didn't answer, but inside his mind he kept hearing one sound. Psst, psst. Because earlier he had watched his uncle spray insect killer around the sitting room. It had happened quickly, like it didn't matter. The uncle had come in holding the spray can and said, "These cockroaches want to finish us." He sprayed near the sofa. He sprayed near the curtains. He sprayed close to the dining area too. Then he placed the can near the wall, not far from where they kept slippers. Victor had noticed the strong smell. He had noticed how the air felt sharp. And he had noticed something else, something small but important. His uncle didn't mop after spraying. Victor had wanted to say, "Should we wipe the floor?" But the words had stayed in his throat, heavy and stuck like a stone. Because in Victor's family, the loud ones didn't wait for the quiet one to speak. And if Victor spoke, someone would likely say, "Shut up, Victor, we know what we're doing." So he stayed quiet. But he remembered. That evening, the family dinner began like it always did. Noisy, crowded, and full of jokes that sometimes felt like tiny knives. People talked about money. People argued about who was doing well. People laughed loudly at things Victor didn't find funny. Victor sat at his usual spot, slightly away from the center. Not because anyone told him to sit there, but because nobody ever made space for him anywhere else. Mama Rose sat close to the middle, because everyone respected her age, at least in public. Food was served. There was rice. There was stew. There was meat people fought over like it was gold. Someone made a comment about Victor's quietness. "See Victor, eh? If we throw him inside river, he will still be quiet there." People laughed. Victor stared at his plate. Mama Rose shot them a warning look. "Leave the boy." The laughter reduced, but it didn't stop. Victor kept eating slowly, and that was when it happened. A small piece of snack, maybe a dry puff-puff bite, maybe a chin-chin piece, fell from someone's hand. It rolled under the table. No one noticed. No one cared. But Victor noticed. Because Victor always noticed. He watched it land near Mama Rose's feet. Then he watched Mama Rose bend slightly, like she was about to pick it up. Victor's heart jumped. He remembered the spray. He remembered the smell. And he remembered where the uncle had sprayed, near the dining area. Victor's mind ran fast. If the spray touched the floor, and the snack touched the floor, and Grandma eats it, his throat tightened. The words rose like fire, and for the first time in a long time, Victor didn't care who would laugh. He didn't care who would insult him. He only cared about one thing, stopping Mama Rose's hand. So he shouted, and the whole world changed. After Victor's warning, the room became two things at once, a loud emergency and a quiet shame. People were moving fast, but their eyes kept sliding toward Victor, like they were wondering, since when did he start talking like this? Since when did he start noticing what we don't notice? Victor didn't enjoy the attention. It felt strange, like wearing someone else's clothes. And he walked closer to Mama Rose, ready to support her if she fell. She stared at him. "Victor," she said slowly, "how did you know?" Victor's voice came out low now, almost back to his normal. "I saw Uncle spray earlier." Someone nearby snapped, "But we all saw it." Victor looked up. His eyes were steady. "Yes," he said, "but everyone forgot." That single sentence landed hard. Nobody responded. Because it was true. They had been busy, distracted, loud, and Victor had been quiet. But quiet didn't mean empty. A cousin rushed in with water. "Mama Rose, drink small." Mama Rose pushed it away gently. "Let me breathe." Her chest rose and fell. Victor watched her face carefully. Her eyes looked okay, but she was shaking a little. And then it happened. Mama Rose swayed. I'm not fully falling, just a small sway that made everyone panic again. Someone grabbed her arm. Someone screamed her name. Victor stepped forward quickly, holding her other side. "Mama Rose, sit," he said. She sat down slowly. Her lips looked pale. That was when fear punched Victor again. What if she inhaled too much? What if she touched the snack? What if it already entered her body? The doctor had said, "Bring her in immediately." The uncle who sprayed the insect killer began talking too much, trying to protect himself. It was not even plenty spray. It was normal. People spray every day. Who even eats food from floor like that? Victor turned and stared at him. Not with anger, with something sharper, with facts. Uncle, Victor said, you sprayed near the dining chairs. I saw you. The uncle paused, surprised. Victor continued, and you kept the spray can near the wall. The cap is loose now. Everyone looked at Victor. What cap? Someone asked. Victor pointed toward the corner. The uncle's eyes flickered, and Victor felt a cold twist in his stomach. Because that tiny flicker looked like fear. Not normal fear, not the fear of an accident, the fear of someone who knows more than they are saying. Victor took a step toward the corner. Victor, leave it, an auntie shouted. Let us focus on Mama. But Victor's mind was stuck on the loose cap. He remembered something else too. Earlier, when the uncle sprayed, he had taken the can from a black nylon bag, not from the usual shelf. Victor's heart thumped. Why would the spray be in a bag? Why was the cap loose? Why did the uncle look nervous? Victor picked up the can carefully, holding it away from his face like he had seen people do. A strong chemical smell rushed out. Victor's eyes watered. He coughed once, then he saw something that made his stomach drop. The label on the can looked odd, not clean, not normal, like it had been rubbed, like someone didn't want the name to be clear. Victor squinted, reading slowly. Some letters were missing, but one word stood out. A word Victor had seen before on warning signs, a word that didn't sound like a regular house spray. Victor's fingers tightened, and suddenly Mama Rose made a small sound behind him, soft, weak. Victor spun around. Her eyes were half closed now. Her breathing sounded heavy. Someone screamed again, louder than before, and the family rushed toward her like a wave. Victor stood frozen with the can in his hand, and his mind screamed one thing. This is not over, because even if he saved her from eating the snack, what if the danger had already entered the room in another way? What if it wasn't just forgetfulness? What if someone did something on purpose? Victor opened his mouth to speak, to say what he had noticed, to say what the label looked like, to say the uncle was acting strange. But the shouting swallowed his words. Carry Mama Rose. Open the gate. Find the car key. Call the doctor again. Victor looked down at the spray can, then back at his uncle. Their eyes met, and in that second Victor saw it clearly. His uncle wasn't just worried, he looked cornered, like a person afraid the truth was about to come out. Victor's throat went dry, and because he understood something for the first time. Saving Mama Rose might make Victor a target in his own family. And as they lifted Mama Rose to rush her to the hospital, Victor felt a hand grip his wrist hard. He turned sharply. It was his uncle. His uncle leaned close, voice low, not friendly. Victor, he whispered, drop that can. Victor's heart pounded. The uncle's grip tightened. His smile did not reach his eyes. Drop it, he repeated, softer, but more dangerous. Victor looked at Mama Rose being carried toward the door. Then he looked at the can. Then he looked at his uncle's face, and he realized the night had just become something else entirely. Not just an accident. Not just a near poisoning, something darker. Victor pulled his hand back, and the uncle stepped closer. The front door was open. The family was rushing out. Nobody was watching them now. Victor's uncle whispered again, close enough for Victor to smell his breath. If you talk too much today, you will regret it. Victor's eyes widened, his whole body went cold, and right then, Mama Rose let out a weak gasp from the doorway, like she was struggling to stay awake. Victor's mind split in two. Follow Mama Rose, or face his uncle and the truth. He took one step, and the uncle blocked him. Victor's voice finally came out, shaking but clear. Uncle, what did you spray? The uncle's eyes hardened, and in the loud chaos of the family running out, Victor realized he might be standing alone. Victor pulled his hand free. The insect spray can slipped from his fingers and rolled across the tiles with a hollow metallic sound. His uncle's eyes followed it instantly, but Victor didn't stop. He ran. Outside, headlights cut through the evening darkness as family members hurried Mama Rose into the back seat of the car. Someone held her shoulders, someone fanned her face with a handkerchief. Mama Rose, stay awake. Open your eyes. Talk to us. Victor reached the car just as they were closing the door. Mama Rose's weak eyes searched the crowd, then found him. Victor, she whispered. He grabbed the door handle and climbed in beside her. The car sped forward before the door fully shut. Behind them, Victor caught one last glimpse through the rear window. His uncle stood at the gate. Not worried, not rushing, just watching, and smiling faintly. Victor's stomach tightened. Something was wrong, very wrong. The car bounced over potholes as they rushed toward the hospital. Abuja traffic lights flashed past them like streaks of red and green. Inside the car, panic filled the air. An auntie prayed loudly. Someone called another relative. Another person searched Google for poison symptoms. Victor stayed quiet, but his mind was racing faster than the car. He watched Mama Rose carefully. Her breathing sounded heavy. Her fingers trembled. "Mama, can you hear me?" his mother asked. Mama Rose nodded weakly. Victor leaned closer. "Grandma, did you touch the snack?" he asked softly. Everyone turned toward him again. Even now, they were still surprised he was speaking. Mama Rose blinked slowly. I touched it small." Victor's heart dropped. Touched, not eaten, but touched. He remembered the smell of the spray, the loose cap, and the damaged label, the strange look on his uncle's face. Victor swallowed. "Did you wash your hands after?" he asked. "No," Mama Rose whispered. Immediately, panic returned. "Driver, go faster." The car sped up. Victor gently took Mama Rose's hand and wiped it with his handkerchief, careful and calm, like a nurse. For the first time, his mother looked at him differently. Not like a quiet child, like someone in control. "How do you know all this, Victor?" she asked. Victor hesitated because the real answer sounded dangerous. "I read warning signs," he said quietly. But that wasn't the full truth. The truth was that Victor noticed patterns people ignored, and tonight the pattern felt wrong. Hospital lights appeared ahead, bright, cold, serious. The car stopped suddenly and nurses rushed out with a wheelchair. Mama Rose was taken inside quickly. Doctors asked questions. What substance? When was exposure? Did she ingest anything? Family members spoke over one another. Victor stepped forward calmly. She touched food that fell on a floor sprayed with insect killer, he said clearly. Spray was used earlier today. Strong smell, possibly uncapped container. The doctor looked directly at him. How old are you? 19. The doctor nodded slowly. You noticed early? Yes. The doctor turned to the nurses. Good, prepare decontamination protocol. Victor stepped back as they wheeled Mama Rose away. The doors closed, and suddenly, the noise disappeared. The waiting room felt too quiet, too empty. Victor sat down. His hands shook slightly now that the emergency movement had stopped. He replayed everything. The spray, the label, the uncle's threat. Then his chest tightened again, because something new hit him. His uncle did not come to the hospital, not even once. Relatives filled the waiting area. Some prayed, some complained, some blamed each other. But slowly attention moved away from Victor again. Adults began talking like he wasn't there. Old people should stop eating from the floor. Maybe her blood pressure is high. It's just small chemical. Victor sat alone on a plastic chair, invisible again, just like always. Except now he carried a secret nobody else understood. He closed his eyes and remembered the spray can clearly, the scratched label, the word he partially read. Not ordinary insect spray. Something stronger, something industrial. Why would his uncle bring that into the house? Victor's breathing slowed as another memory returned. Earlier that afternoon, he had seen his uncle speaking quietly on the phone outside. The uncle's voice had been low, serious, and one sentence stood out in Victor's memory. Once she is gone, everything settles. Victor's eyes opened sharply. His heart began to pound. Gone. Did his uncle mean Mama Rose? Victor stood up slowly, because now the situation felt bigger than an accident. The emergency room doors opened. Everyone stood instantly. The doctor walked toward them. His face was calm, but serious. Who warned her not to eat the food? He asked. Family members pointed toward Victor. The doctor nodded. Young man, you saved her life. The words landed heavily. Some relatives gasped. Victor looked down, uncomfortable. The doctor continued. She was exposed to chemical residue, not ordinary household spray, a stronger compound. If she had eaten that snack, we might be discussing something else right now. Silence swallowed the room. While Victor's mother covered her mouth, an auntie began crying softly. You mean she could have died? Someone asked. The doctor nodded once. Yes. All eyes turned to Victor. For the first time in 19 years, they were truly looking at him, not through him. At him, but Victor felt no pride, only fear. Because the doctor confirmed what he already suspected. That spray was not normal, and someone brought it into the house. Victor's thoughts snapped back suddenly. The spray can, he left it behind. With his uncle, Victor's stomach twisted. He stood abruptly. I need air, he said. No one stopped him. Outside the hospital entrance, night air hit his face. He pulled out his phone. His hands hesitated. Then he opened the Notes app. Victor began typing everything he remembered. Time spray was used, location, loose cap, damaged label, uncle's threat. He saved it. Because Victor trusted one thing, memories fade. Records don't. Just as he locked his phone, It buzzed. Unknown number. Victor frowned. He answered cautiously. Hello? Silence. Then a low voice spoke. Smart boy. Victor froze. The voice continued calmly. You should learn when to stay quiet. Victor's chest tightened. Who is this? A soft chuckle came through the line. You already know. The call ended. Victor stared at the dark phone screen. Cold fear spread through him. His uncle knew. His uncle was watching him. And suddenly Victor understood something terrifying. Saving Mama Rose did not end the danger. It started it. A nurse stepped outside quickly. She is awake. She asked for you. Victor rushed inside. Mama Rose lay on the hospital bed, weak but conscious. Machines beeped softly. Her eyes softened when she saw him. My careful boy, she whispered. Victor sat beside her. You scared us, he said gently. She smiled faintly. No, you saved me. Her fragile hand squeezed his. Then her expression changed slightly. Serious now. Victor, she said quietly, someone in this family does not want me alive. Victor's heart slammed. You noticed too? He asked. Mama Rose nodded slowly. I have been watching, just like you. Victor felt chills run through him. The quiet boy was not the only observer. His grandmother had been watching as well. Inchi leaned closer and whispered, There is something you must know about this family, and about why tonight happened. Victor leaned forward, but before she could continue, the hospital room door opened suddenly, and standing there was his uncle, smiling politely, holding a bag of fruits, like nothing had happened. Victor's body went stiff because his uncle's eyes moved from Mama Rose straight to him, and the smile slowly faded. The uncle stepped into the room calmly. I came as soon as I heard, he said sweetly, but Victor noticed something chilling. His uncle's gaze dropped briefly to Victor's hands, checking, searching, as if confirming whether Victor still had the spray can. Mama Rose tightened her grip on Victor's wrist, her voice barely a whisper. Don't trust him. Victor's uncle placed the fruit basket down, then he closed the hospital door behind him. Click. The sound echoed loudly, too loudly, and Victor suddenly realized they were now alone in the room with the man who might have tried to kill Mama Rose. His uncle pulled a chair closer, sat down slowly, and said quietly, Victor, we need to talk. Victor's heart pounded, because this was no longer just family drama. This was a secret, a dangerous one, and he had just become part of it. Where are you watching from? Comment your city and country. What did this story teach you? Share your thoughts below. Subscribe for more inspiring emotional stories.